Chapter 5, The Snake and the Mirror. Before you read, do you like to look at yourself in the mirror? What do you think about at such times? So, we do see mirror sometimes once or twice or more number of times in a day. So, it is asking what do you think about at such times? So, we want to see more handsome or more nice. So, we look into the mirror to dress our hair. Most of the time we used to dress our hair. So have you ever seen a dog, a cat or a bird looking into the mirror? Now another question is, do you see any animal or bird that is looking into the mirror? What do you think it sees? So it will be a full of surprise for the animals or the bird. Now read this humorous story about a doctor, a snake and a mirror. So this is a humorous story and it has doctor, a snake and a mirror. So has a snake ever coiled itself around any part of your body? First question. Very dangerous it looks. Okay. If a snake has ever coiled itself around any part of your body is the question. A full-blooded cobra. 1 second. A full-blooded cobra. All of us fell silent. The question came from the homeopath. So doctor was homeopath. The topic came up when we were discussing snakes. We listened attentively as the doctor continued with his tale. So doctor is telling a tale here. It was a hot summer night. It was a hot summer night. About 10 o'clock I had my meal at the restaurant and returned to my room. So doctor says it was a hot summer night and at around 10 o'clock he had meal at the restaurant and then he returned to his room. I heard a noise from above as I opened the door, and when he went into the room and as he opened the door he heard a noise above. The sound was a familiar one, so he knew what kind of sound it is. One could say that the rats and I shared the room. One could say that the rats and I shared the room. So there were rats in his room actually. He mean that. So he is saying he is sharing the room with the rats. So actually rats were there in his room. I took out my box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. So he took out the matchbox and lighted the kerosene lamp. So lamp used to be used in the villages, or even today it is used in some of the places, remote areas where electricity is, like power cuts are often. So kerosene lamp is a common lamp that people use in those places. So he light up the kerosene lamp on the table. The house was not electrified. It was a small rented room. I had just set up medical practice and my earnings were meager. So actually the electrification of the room was not there, so he used to light the room with the help of kerosene lamp. So he just started practicing the medical and his earnings were not much. Meager means his earning was low. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase and he had about only 60 rupees in his suitcase. Along with some shirts and dhotis, I also possessed one solitary black coat which I was then wearing. I took off my black coat, white shirt and not so white vest and hung them up. I opened the two windows in the room. It was an outer room with one wall facing the open yard. It had a tiled roof with long supporting gables that rested on the beam over the wall. So he is describing about the construction of the room. So it was a outer room with one wall facing the open yard. It had a tiled roof. It had a tiled roof with long supporting gables. So gable is the upper part of the wall below the sloping roof. There was no ceiling. There was a regular traffic of rats to and from the beam. I made my bed and pulled it close to the wall. I lay down but I could not sleep. He was trying to sleep. He prepared his bed and he lay down, but he could not sleep. I got up and went out to the veranda for a little air, but the wind god seemed to have taken time off. But still, it was a hot summer day, or in the night he went out for a walk, or got up to the veranda for little air, but wind god seemed to have taken time off, means he didn't find comfortable air also. Okay, so he wanted to have some wind blowing. He thought he will get some nice winds, but the wind was not blowing at that time. I went back into the room and sat down on the chair. I opened the box beneath the table and took out a book, the Materia Medica. So he took out the book to read it because he was not feeling asleep. So he took out the book to read. I opened it at the table on which stood the lamp and a large mirror. A small comb lay beside the mirror. Then he saw the mirror, and the lamp was there, and a comb was also lying beside the mirror. One feels tempted to look into a mirror when it is near one. If mirror is nearby, so one will be tempted to look into the mirror to see how one looks. So I took a look. In those days, I was a great admirer of beauty, and I believed in making myself look handsome. I was unmarried and I was a doctor. I felt I had to make my presence felt. I picked up the comb and ran it through my hair and adjusted the parting so that it looked straight and neat. So he dressed his hair properly and parted the hair on both sides and made it straight to look it straight and neat. Again I heard the sound from above. So once again he heard the sound from above. I took a close look at my face in the mirror. I made an important decision. Now he made some decisions. I would shave daily and grow a thin mustache to look more handsome. So even though some noise were there from the roof, but he was not worrying much about the noise. He was trying to see the mirror and try to make some decisions, like if he will shave daily and grow thin mustache, he will look more handsome. This is what the doctor was thinking. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor. I looked into the mirror and smiled. It was an attractive smile. I made another earth-shaking decision. I would always keep that attractive smile on my face to look more handsome. So now as he come across his own smile, he saw it in the mirror. So he thought he will keep this smile on his face regularly to look more handsome. I was after all a bachelor and a doctor too on top of it, and he was proud to be a bachelor and a doctor. Again came that noise from above. I got up, paced up and down the room. So he got up, paced up means in a speed, and he went down the room. Then another lovely thought struck me. I would get married to a woman doctor. So he is thinking that he will be married. So he will get married to a woman doctor who had plenty of money and a good medical practice. She had to be fat for a valid reason. If I made some silly mistake and needed to run away, she should not be able to run after me and catch me. So he wanted his wife to be little fat for a reason that when he do some mistake and run away, his wife should not catch him, because he will have to run faster. So if his wife is little fat, she will not run as fast as he can. So he wished his wife to be fat. With such thoughts in my mind, I resumed my seat in the chair in front of the table. There were no more sounds from above. Suddenly there came a dull thud, as if a rubber tube had fallen to the ground. Then there was a thud. Thud is a sound of falling heavy object. Okay, so that was heard by the doctor. Surely nothing to worry about. And he thought it's okay, nothing to worry about. Even so, I thought I would turn around and take a look. No sooner had I turned than a fat snake wriggled over the back of the chair and landed on my shoulder. He wanted to have a look like what is there, but before he could do that, a snake already climbed the chair and landed on his shoulder. The snake's landing on me and my turning were simultaneously. So as he turned, the snake landed. So it was simultaneously. It was simultaneous. I didn't jump. I didn't tremble. I didn't cry out. There was no time to do any such things. He could not do anything. He was just still. The snake slithered along my shoulder and coiled around my left arm above the elbow. So snake slowly started coiling up on his left arm above his elbow. The hood was spread out and its head was hardly 3 or 4 inches from my face. So his hood was spread and his head was just 3 or 4 inches away from his face. So snake was coiled up in his arm. It would not be correct to say merely that I sat there holding my breath. I was turned to a stone, so he was still. That if he moves, the snake may bite. So he was still and trying to hold his breath also. But my mind was very active. The door opened into darkness. The room was surrounded by darkness. In the light of the lamp, I sat there like a stone image in the flesh. So he was still. I felt then the great presence of the creator of this world and this universe. So he remembered God. God was there. Suppose I had something and he did not like it. I tried in my imagination to write in bright letters outside my little hut the words, "O God." Means silently he is remembering God. There was some pain in my left arm. It was as if a thick leaden rod, no, a rod made of molten fire, was slowly but powerfully crushing my arm. So the coiling was so powerful that it has started paining. So arm started paining. The arm was beginning to be drained of all strength. So if it is coiled up, no, so strength will weaken. What could I do? So he couldn't do much, or he couldn't do anything. He was still like a stone. At my slightest movement, the snake would strike me. Death lurked 4 inches away. So if he will move or try to move also, a snake can strike. Suppose it struck, what was the medicine I had to take? There were no medicines in the room. So if it bite, there were no such medicines that he can take. I was but a poor, foolish and stupid doctor. I forgot my danger and smiled feebly at myself. So for a moment he thought he is foolish and stupid doctor. So for a moment he thought he forgot the danger and started smiling at himself. It seemed as if God appreciated that. The snake turned his head. Okay, so whatever he thought, and he thought that God is happy and is appreciating for the things he did at that time, because the snake turned his head away. It looked into the mirror and saw its reflection. The snake looked into the mirror and the snake saw its own reflection in the mirror. I do not claim that it was the first snake that had ever looked into a mirror, but it was certain that the snake was looking into the mirror. Was it admiring its own beauty? Was it trying to make an important decision about growing a mustache or using eyeshadow and mascara or wearing a vermilion spot on its forehead? So he is thinking as if he was thinking earlier on seeing the mirror. So he was thinking that a snake is also eager to look more beautiful or more nice. So it is looking into the mirror. So he started thinking like that. The snake also thinking of growing a mustache or using eyeshadow and etc. things that are given here. I did not know anything for certain. What sex was this snake? Was it a male or female? I will never know, for the snake unwound itself from my arm and slowly slithered into my lap. From there it crept onto the table and moved towards the mirror. So slowly the snake moved towards the mirror. Perhaps it wanted to enjoy its reflection at closer quarters. So snake wanted to see itself in the mirror. I was no mere image cut in granite. I was suddenly a man of flesh and blood. Then he felt some relief. Still holding my breath, I got up from the chair. I quietly went out through the door into the veranda. Then he quietly moved onto the veranda. From there I leapt into the yard and ran for all I was worth. And then he ran fast from the veranda. He ran outside. Phew! Each of us heaved a sigh of relief. So he felt relief because he escaped a snake. Somebody asked, "Doctor, is your wife very fat?" So somebody asked, "Doctor, is your wife very fat?" "No," the doctor said. "God willed otherwise. My wife companion is a thin, reedy person with the gift of a sprinter." Okay. No, the doctor said. Now it's saying the opposite thing. He is saying, God willed otherwise. My wife companion is a thin, reedy person with the gift of a sprinter. Sprinter is a person who runs fast. Someone else asks, "Doctor, when you ran, did the snake follow you?" So when you run, did the snake follow you? The doctor replied, "I ran and ran till I reached a friend's house." So he didn't bother to see the snake because he was trying to escape that place. So he ran fast before he reached his friend's house. Immediately I smeared oil all over myself and took a bath. So he put some oil and took a bath. I changed into fresh clothes. The next morning at about 8:30 I took my friend and one or two others to my room to move my things from there. So at around 8:30 he went with his friend to vacate the room or to move my things from there. But we had little to carry. But he found the things missing. It means some thief had removed most of my things. The room had been cleaned out, but not really. The thief had left behind one thing as a final insult. So most of the things were carried out. Almost all the things were carried out by the thief, but except for one thing, and that was an insult for the doctor. So what was that, I asked. So the author asked, what was that? The doctor said, "My vest, the dirty one." The fellow had such a sense of cleanliness. The doctor is saying that vest was there and it was a dirty one. So the thief had such a sense of cleanliness. The rascal could have taken it and used it after washing it with a soap and water. The thief would have taken it and used it after washing it with soap and water, but he didn't take the vest because it was dirty. "Did you see the snake the next day, doctor?" The doctor laughed. "I never see it since. It was a snake which was taken with its own beauty." And it was a snake which was taken away with its own beauty, because of which he thinks he has survived. Okay, and he was able to run from that place. So this was the story written by Vaikom Muhammad Bashir, translated from the Malayalam by V. Abdullah.